Hi guys, you're watching Total Carp Fishing TV, and today we're taking a look at the TFG AirBomb. Now they've been around for a year, but we thought it would be well worth taking a look at them because they've got some very unique applications for baiting up. So unlike most other baiting devices on the market, which open on impact on the water, the AirBomb is designed to open mid-air, and this is achieved through a fall-away ring, which, as it pulls through this leader and it hits your clip, causes the device to open up. And this allows you to achieve spreads of boilies, much like you would with a catapult, at ranges well beyond that which you'd be able to reach normally. So the AirBomb comes in two different sizes. You've got this, the large, which is great for delivering larger beds of bait up to ranges of about 100 yards. Then you've also got the midi AirBomb, which is, as you can see, a much smaller AirBomb, and this can be cast up to about 150 yards or used on a normal carp setup just for topping up your swim. So by opening up mid-air, it provides a number of key benefits to various fishing situations. Firstly, it means the AirBomb actually falls well away from your baited spot, so you're unlikely to spook fish. That's great for things like floater fishing, so you can bait well beyond where it lands and you just get that nice spread of bait. It also means that you can bait tight to far margins where you'd otherwise risk losing your spot or whatever it is in the trees. Because this falls well short and projects the bait tight to the bushes, there's no risk of losing it in the trees. Finally, it also allows you to get that nice spread baiting situation without the fear of seagulls and other birds getting your bait. When you're there with a throwing stick, putting out a single bait at a time, quite often the seagulls will get every one that goes out, whereas with this, you can put all the bait out in one hit without any risk of the seagulls getting any. So as you can see, the AirBomb itself has got a really strong, sturdy construction, so it can withstand brute force of long casts, and also it floats as well, so you don't need to worry about putting flotation devices on it. So if you crack off, it'll still float, but also it means it skips up along the surface really easy on the retrieve. So in all, as you can imagine, the AirBomb can be used in a variety of baiting situations, and it can also be used with a wide variety of baits too. Anything from particles and pellets to larger baits such as boilies. So finally, before we sign off, there's one little tip that's really good for precision baiting. If you cast the AirBomb well past your spot without hitting the clip, you can then wind it back whilst it's still closed, give it a little strike, and the AirBomb pops open, depositing your bait exactly where it is. So there you go, that's the TFG AirBomb. Let's take a little look at how you actually set them up and use them. So to load the AirBomb, it's actually really quite easy. The best way to do it is bring your AirBomb down to about the same level as your other hand. So all that you do is keeping tension on your line, scoop into your bait, pop it closed, grab the beads with one hand, slide up and attach it to the clip. It's then simply a case of making sure you always keep that tension so it stays on the clip. And a nice smooth cast. Hit the clip and it delivers your bait. So as I mentioned, the AirBomb can be used with a wide variety of baits, but it's best to use a different technique whether you're using boilies or smaller items like particles. At the moment here, I'm using boilies, so I'll be scooping them up in the side with the pin. That ensures that it doesn't press down on the pin and opens up every time. Conversely, when you're filling the AirBomb with smaller baits such as particles, small pellets, use the opposite side to the bulkhead so that you don't get small items stuck in that. So obviously with the AirBomb opening mid-air and projecting your bait forward, you want to clip it up a little bit short of your spot. I'd recommend about 3 wraps short if you're fishing with boilies because they travel a bit further, and if you're fishing with something like particles, they go from around 2 wraps and work from there. You'll quickly find out exactly how far you need to be for your bait to land exactly where you want it. So the tree line opposite there, that's at 13 wraps. I'm fishing with boilies, so I've clipped that up at 10 wraps. And those boilies should land nicely just within the branches. Then as soon as you hit the clip, just start winding straight away and that will skip across the surface nice and easily. So as you can see, that's creating a nice spread of bait along that tree line. And for those of you that aren't aware of the sort of benefits of spreading bait, it can help get the fish moving around the swim, and that can often make them a lot easier to hook. So when you first purchase your AirBomb, it'll come exactly like this in 2 parts. You'll just pop it open, so you've got the AirBomb and then the casting leader. All that you need to do to use it is just attach the casting leader to the little split ring. Now it's best to do this at home if you've got a pair of pliers, or like me, if you've actually got a split ring tool and you can work that on nice and easily. So the easiest way to attach to the split ring is with some specific split ring pliers. They've got a little tooth which you just insert into the split ring to open it up. Next take swivel, pop it on, and then just start working it round. Once it's all clipped in place, you're good to go. So any sort of jerky action during your cast, if you're feathering, that could potentially lead to it opening. So you want to cast as smoothly as possible, and maybe try casting slower as well. If you've got really fast casting action, it's quite jerky, it might open. Other potential reasons would be the casting hook. If that's potentially bent, you want to just check that that's not bent. And also you want to make sure that the ring is properly loaded onto the hook before you cast. Finally, when you actually go to cast, you want to make sure that you're not losing tension in that line, because then the ring will fall out from the hook. So the obvious reason for it not opening is if you've not actually hit the clip properly. However, you may experience a couple of different issues. Again, if the hook's bent but inwards, that can create a tighter angle which stops it from releasing. Also, if you've got particles and bits of bait stuck in the bulkhead, then that's also potentially going to trap the door shut. Finally, you want to make sure that you're not actually overfilling it, which can put pressure on this pin inside, which again will stop that from being able to pull. It may sound simple, but a few people have had issues not being able to close them. All that you need to do is give it a little pull, which releases the pin, and it will snap shut. Also, if that's not the case, just again check that there's no particles stuck in the bulkhead which might be getting in the way of the pin. Some people have asked why the casting leader is so long, and that acts as a buffer for rod tip recoil so that it doesn't accidentally bounce it against the cliff. However, if you're not casting large distances, you can actually cut this down and just tie a knot in the end of it. So sometimes when you're casting the AirBomb in strong side wind, the casting leader can become wrapped against your line, but actually if you hit the clip hard enough, that should still open. So a few people have also asked what the little loop for is in the end of the leader, and that's purely just a cosmetic look of the leader material itself. Well, there you go, proof is in the pudding. A nice little common taking over a spread area of bait using the TFG AirBomb. For more information on the AirBomb, head over to totalfishinggear.co.uk. Let's slip this guy back.